Long before Columbus ever sailed across the Atlantic, long before Europe even imagined a new world, the Americas were already old. Civilizations had risen, flourished, and fallen. Peoples from different origins, different races, and different spiritual pathways had crossed into this hemisphere, shaping a rich and complex human story, one far deeper than the simplified narratives often told today. The historian P. DeRue, in History of America Before Columbus, sets out to reconstruct this layered past using ancient documents, missionary accounts, archaeological evidence, and ethnographic traditions. In the preface, he explains how years of work in the Vatican's secret archives led him to unexpectedly discover previously unnoticed records of early contact and early evangelization in the Americas, including hints of Christian presence before Columbus. Driven by curiosity, he expanded his research into libraries across Europe, unearthing testimonies about migrations, cultures, and spiritual traditions of America's first peoples. And what emerges from this massive compilation is a striking truth: America was never isolated, it was a crossroads. The ancient debates on Earth, continents, and unknown lands. The book opens by reminding us that ancient thinkers, Christian and pagan alike, did not believe the world was flat. Contrary to modern legend, medieval scholars fully understood the sphericity of the Earth. Writers such as Lactantius, St. Augustine, Isidore of Seville, Bede, and the poet of L'Image du Monde all recognized that a spherical Earth implied other lands on the far side of the ocean. By the 4th century, Macrobius even imagined a second northern and southern inhabited world, lands corresponding roughly to what we now call the Americas. These weren't wild guesses. They were hints that ancient and medieval scholars suspected the existence of other continents and possible human populations beyond the Atlantic. Were the first Americans one people? Or many peoples? The book challenges the idea that all Native Americans descended from a single migration. Ethnologists noticed dramatic differences in facial structure, skin tone, languages, customs, mythologies. A number of scholars, Nadelac, Vivier de Saint Martin, Bradford, Raffinesque, argued that America had been peopled at different times by different races. They pointed to how some tribes of South America, such as the Uskies, Pirues, and Chans, were described as white as the Spaniards, with dozens of such tribes noted historically. Explorers along the northwest coast reported encountering fair-skinned, tall populations. On the upper Missouri, tribes like the Kiowas, Cascayas, and Lipanis were described with features resembling the purest white races. In Greenland, Norse explorers found tall, thin, fair people speaking an Eskimo language, suggesting possible Scandinavian admixture centuries before Columbus. These accounts reveal a continent shaped by multiple waves of migration: Asian, Polynesian, Arctic, and possibly European long before 1492. Ancient traditions, migrations across frozen seas. One of the most powerful sections of the book is the Lenni Lenape, Delaware, migration tradition, preserved in songs and chants. In these ancient verses, the people describe crossing the frozen sea, the smooth deep water, in a single night, in the dark, 10,000 people passing over. They speak of leaving a snake land, traveling with tribes of the north, east, and south, guided by chiefs symbolized as white eagle, beaver, wolf, and crossing icy passages during a great exodus. This story aligns with theories of northern crossings during glacial periods, possibly even in multiple waves. It paints a picture of America's early population movements that is far more dramatic than a standard textbook explanation. The spiritual visitors, Quetzalcoatl and his white-robed companions. One of the book's most striking discussions concerns the traditions surrounding Quetzalcoatl, known among the Maya as Kukulkan. Early chroniclers like Sahagan, Duran, Las Casas, and Torquemada describe Quetzalcoatl not as a mythic feathered serpent, but as a real person, a leader who arrived with a colony of companions. According to multiple sources, they wore long robes and sandals, they kept strict celibacy, many wore long beards, they taught prayer, morality, and arts, and were peaceful, gentle, and scientifically skilled. DeRue notes that Quetzalcoatl's companions were called Tolteca, meaning experts in every art. Some traditions even describe Quetzalcoatl and his disciple Zipe walking through rocks that burst asunder to let them pass, a memory of powerful spiritual or technological feats. Were these figures Buddhist monks? Early Christians? Survivors of a transoceanic voyage? The book does not claim a definitive identity, but it records the testimony that something happened, and these visitors left an enormous impact. The shadows, human sacrifice, cannibalism, and spiritual corruption. The book does not romanticize pre-Columbian America. It documents the harsh realities described by early chroniclers. Certain cultures, especially those in Mesoamerica, practiced human sacrifice and even ritual cannibalism, which horrified both indigenous allies and Europeans. The Aztecs, Tlaxcalans, and others engaged in ceremonies where prisoners were tortured, hearts were eaten for courage, warriors consumed parts of fallen enemies. Prescott, Acosta, Sahagan, and others describe the scale of these acts, which were often tied to religious festivals. Deroux frames this as a sign that spiritual traditions had become corrupted over time. Traces of older, peaceful teachings, like those of Quetzalcoatl, had been overwritten by darker practices. Dating the presence of ancient Americans. The book also tackles the scientific question, how long have humans been in the Americas? Using geological evidence such as lake erosion, river excavation, and glacial retreat, researchers like Winchell, Prestwich, Gilbert, and Wright concluded that human presence in America may extend back 7,000 to 10,000 years, possibly more. This timeframe aligns with both archaeological finds and indigenous oral histories of cataclysms, migrations, and ice age crossings. America before Columbus was not an empty land waiting to be discovered. It was a living mosaic of civilizations, some peaceful, some warlike, some wise, some fallen. The evidence gathered in history of America before Columbus tells us that multiple waves of different peoples entered the continent, spiritual teachers and mysterious strangers influenced entire nations. Indigenous traditions preserved memories of ancient migrations, and the Americas were part of a global human story long before 1492. The deeper we look, the clearer it becomes. The history of the Americas is older, richer, and more interconnected than we were ever taught. And perhaps the greatest message is this, that no civilization stands alone. Humanity has always been on the move, searching, migrating, teaching, falling, rising again. The story of pre-Columbian America is the story of the world. A story still waiting to be fully understood.
Garantangi. Till the next video.